Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of year again. We are working on our biggest food plot I've ever done. It is this whole meadow almost, all sorts of different, a lot of this and that. And basically I've combined the last like 8 years of food plots down here. We've done food plots in all sorts of different corners of this area down here, but this year I'm doing kind of a big combination of everything. We've done a small plot all the way over there. We've done a small plot right over here before. We've done a clover plot right in here. Last year we did a big C plot. Now this year we're combining everything. We've got a plot that goes all the way over there, comes all the way around like the big C shape, goes up and here and over there. And this is going to be a super cool plot, and we're planting the entire thing in the Ridgeline summer draw. We planted summer draw down here last year. It was a beautiful plot all summer long. Sunflowers, buckwheat, soybeans, all sorts of fun stuff down here. And then we no-tilled a BRASSICA plot into it. We didn't get really any rain in the fall, so it kind of struggled to come up, but we did get something established because of all the moisture that was held in there by the summer draw plot. Over the last few weeks, I did some disking down here. I started by disking it twice really heavy to really just break everything up, and then I let it sit for 2 weeks. And yesterday I came in with the 966 and the disc and disked it a little bit more shallow to break up kind of any of the remaining sod clumps and chop up some of the remaining weeds. And we've got a really nice really nice mellow plot here, which is honestly quite beautiful. Now this is actually some really mellow dirt in this section down there. It gets a little bit wetter, but it gets more mellow as we get out there. We're gonna get dragging this plot. What I'm doing is I'm dragging it with this chain harrow. We're kind of busting up a lot of this stuff right here. This is kind of the secondary product that's left behind. All the clumps are broken up a little bit better. Some spots you get a lot of root stuff like this. So it's not like a perfect seed bed, but it's actually a very suitable seed bed for broadcast seeding. Then what we're gonna do is broadcast our seed on here. We're gonna drag it a second time to pull some dirt over the seed. And then I'm gonna do something that I started doing last year, is literally taking the four-wheeler or the UTV or whatever we have, spending the time to pack the entire thing with the tires. Here's what we're planting. Ridgeline Seed Summer Draw. Brief description: high protein summer annual blend of forage soybeans, sun hemp, peas, sunflowers, buckwheat, and milo. Here's the actual seed ticket for those of you who want to be a little bit more technical. That was a dumb idea. Normally I use the push type spreader, but honestly, it just gets annoying pushing it over bumpy ground, so I just take my time with the hand spinner. Here's some good bare soil I found. It'll show you kind of how I'm seeding it. Sunflowers, whatever that thing is, probably peas, soybeans right there. There's a couple blends of things out in here. You can kind of see them. It's hard to tell on camera, but it's out there. If anybody else is spreading with this Scott spreader like this, I have it set on 5 and I'm just walking along spinning it. Not spinning it super fast because I'm trying to keep the dispersion rate somewhat close and keep the population up. This bag, it is a 50-pound bag, I believe. 40 pound bag, and it plants an acre for those of you who are following along. I shuffled the trail camera from that tree to that tree, and I'm gonna spice up this mineral site here right next to the food plot, and now the camera can pick up anything moving on this deer trail here, hitting this, coming out of this whole area, because they like to come out of here. When the camera was there, got a lot of good pictures here, but I kind of just want to get a different angle. Stuff moving through here. Thoughts on putting a tree stand in that tree? I think that looks like a pretty enticing tree. The only problem is when the leaves fall off in the fall and the winter, pretty exposed up there. Oh, that smells good. Plot's finished. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks here when this plot has come up and started to establish itself. I'm loving how it's looking right now, and it should turn out to be a really nice plot this year.
Well guys, it is July 23rd, I think, something like that. We're down here in the summer draw plot. The unfortunate thing with this plot this year is it was super wet. We've had an insane amount of rain this year, and it's just caused quite a bit of problems all over the land. Anything farming and agriculture related has been a struggle. The hay business has been doing all right, but the rain has been making it it's been hard. It's been definitely hard. So down here where this food plot is planted is a naturally wet area. We got the creek right over there, and obviously it's flooded down here a couple times, sits down here in the floodplain. This spot in particular sits really wet, and as you can see, it's been taken over by a lot of weeds. There's a few good things in here. There's a soybean plant there. We've got a corn plant or sorghum plant there, but there's areas in here that are really struggling. However, there are areas that are doing pretty good. We come up here, we get out of the wet spot, and we come up to this drier spot up top here, and it looks better. You know, there's a lot of buckwheat right there. That's all the white stuff. And there's just better stuff. However, there's still just a lot of this everywhere. Not too thrilled about that. It actually, I mean, the plot did come up good, you know. It emerged good, had good emergence. But just the wetness is, yeah, it's kind of made this look like a mess. Here's the better looking areas though. So kind of that section there, this section here, it looks better. We've got sunflowers coming up. We've got a lot of good stuff that's growing in here. Again, just so much grass and weeds coming up, but it was drier up here, so it didn't get drowned out as bad. And here's a decent stuff in here. So it wasn't a complete waste. Could have been better. But it is what it is given the year we've had. We've had a tough year, super wet. And since this food plot was underwater a couple times already, doing all right. I apologize if I sound sick though, I am sick.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is your summer draw update. It is November 16th right now. What you're gonna notice first thing is right here in the middle, all this brown grass, that is fall panicum. The big reason that is in there is because this spot lays really wet. We had an extremely wet May and June. And so it kind of drowned out this one section. There is some milo plants and some stuff in here. Well, we're going to work this way, and you can just see as we kind of move into the more drier section, you can see just kind of the biomass that's there and the bedding and all that stuff. So this stuff is super tall and thick and green in the summertime. We planted it last year. I'll put a link to a video. You can go watch last year's summer draw plot video. But this is what we're having this year. This year, I think I planted it at a little lower rate than I did last year. And of course, the super wet spring and summer, that kind of hurt it a little bit. But still, we're standing here in November, and we've still got all of this tall biomass. This is really important come this time of year, especially for bedding and just cover for deer, because as you can see, in the summertime, this fall panicum is like 6 feet tall. But as soon as the frost hits it, it dies and it lays over like this, and it doesn't provide any cover. So having stuff that is actually good cover like this, that's kind of what we're going for. Obviously, it provides a lot of food as well in the summertime. There is some food this time of year, but most of it is kind of just brown and is kind of dying off from the frost. So if you're going to plant something like this and you want that winter food source, I highly recommend planting like some brassicas in here, like the 5-star Rage or like the 5-star brassicas, something like that. It's super simple. Last year what I did, I was planting some hay, and so I had a no-till drill here on the farm, and I had some brassicas, and I just threw it in the drill and ran the drill up and down, and ended up making it just crimped it, drilled in the ground, and by hunting season we had a nice strip of brassicas in here. And that was super dry last year, and we planted it later than I normally plant brassicas, so it wasn't super it wasn't like super tall, but it was there and it was growing. So that would be the only thing that I would do differently down here in this plot. Other than that, this is the summer draw. Could be better, but it also could be worse.